Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the New Normal podcast with Lee and Chantelle.
Hello, Chantelle.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Much is what we got going on today.
So first of all, I would like to address our subscribers.
Okay.
Particularly the ones that subscribe because of me.
What? How do you know they subscribe because of you?
I don't know, but I'm just addressing them.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever is watching, I just want to say that you guys have something special. Okay? I know this because I have the same thing too. When you come across a random Chinese guy like me, just talking about complex issues in a simple way, and you can differentiate, you can be like, yo, this guy legit. That's a special skill. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And since I was young, I think I developed it since I was a kid, because the part of China I'm from, it's like a what's it called, like a reverse to what is here. In here, people look up to people who sound educated, and they look down on the people who are like don't sound educated. But in the part of China I'm from, the people who sound uneducated are cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always thought, and then later on, I started studying smart people, like my boy Albert. You know my boy Albert?
Albert Einstein.
Oh, okay, you know him too?
Everybody knows him.
Yeah, my boy Albert said, if you cannot explain to a topic in simple words to a 5-year-old and get a 5-year-old to understand, then you yourself don't understand the issue enough.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I've been looking up to people who can explain complex issues in a simple way. And then also I try to develop that skill in myself. And
That's
now,
good.
yeah. And also how I know that you guys, okay, those people, I'm talking to you, those who subscribe because you heard me talking about complex issues, is that I've been having conversations with a lot of people along the way, from different cities in China, in Canada, like people from everywhere. And not many people can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Most of them just roll their eyes at me, but not literally, because there's only one person that would literally roll her eyes at me while I'm talking. Right? If you, in the middle of a conversation, roll her eyes at me.
That's what makes this work. Because I can do that. Not many people understand.
I don't know about all that. I think this relationship started, one of the main reasons it started because of it. But anyways, let's not go into ourselves like the selfish people that we are. Let's address the subscribers, right? But yeah, because of those two, I have my personal experience and all of that. But anyways, so yeah, I think you guys have something special. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think not just like some things.
Do you have anything to say to the people who subscribe because of you?
What the heck? I think we come in a duo. So those who subscribe to both of us. But if not, and they subscribe for me, then I really appreciate it too. Obviously, I appreciate people subscribing to both of us and like what we talk about and the dynamic that we have on here. Especially the first people who are subscribing now, you're catching the wave before, I don't know, you never know, a few years down the road or like a few months later on, you really never know. YouTube is interesting that way. And I think that's why we're here too, is because it could be something so much bigger than it is now, and I'm sure it will be. And yeah, so thanks for subscribing, everybody, and continuing to show your support. It'd be cool to get some comments as well in the comment section if you do actually want to say something, or I don't know, can people message directly? Because that would be cool too, just talking to people like across the world that I don't know or we don't know.
Oh, we have our email on YouTube, but that's a kind of like a formal thing. In the future, if we get more subscribers, we'll probably create a chat group type of thing.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
But
Wouldn't mind. You can go back and forth with Lee and see what I have to deal with, you know.
what the hell?
No, I'm kidding. I think Lee's mind is really uh, more than interesting, and that's why I am with him. Is because I've learned that Lee is too complex. Like I learn about him every day, and there's always something to learn about. So, but I think that's just it with any partner. So,
I think it's less about what I have to say. It's more about, I think it's going to be a very powerful thing if you can collect all these people that can recognize what I'm saying and put them together in a group and what they can come up with.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's very interesting. It's gonna be like the PayPal mafia.
Lee really wants to build his own all-in pod. Just like, okay, for those who don't know, there's a all-in podcast with Chamath, Jake Howe, David Sachs, and Friedberg. What's his Friedberg's first name now?
David, they're both
David.
David.
Oh yeah, there's two
David
Davids.
Sachs
I
and
was about to say
David
David
Friedberg.
Sachs, yeah, and David Friedberg. So go check them out, and they a lot of things that Lee like topics that Lee likes, and like me too, but more so Lee is like what they talk about. So if you understand them, then you definitely understand Lee, and I think that's super cool. So check him out.
Well, there are like a lot of these people that have in common. Like they all have a great network, but then they do uh, how they get their network is different. Like for example, the all-in people, what they share in common is playing poker, and Warren Buffett and Bill Gates play bridge.
Oh
Like, and the
yes,
PayPal people, they do PayPal, and tech people do something else. It's
that's
everybody
true.
does something like that. They gather them together, even though
Yeah,
they have other things they have in common, but they need like some central thing that attract everybody to gather them together. And for
yeah.
me, that thing will be YouTube. I don't know if it'll become that, but that's my hope.
Yeah, I think more than that though, like we have a variety of hobbies and interests that we talk about here on here. So I think that will bring a diverse group of people together who tune into what we're interested in too, because we just a
Mm.
little bit well-rounded in that way. I don't know in terms of retention how much that will retain the audience because we talk about a lot of different things. But I mean, if there are people who tune in at certain times just for what we have to say during a particular topic, then that's cool too.
Yeah. I don't want to gather a bunch of people that are interested in one thing. I want
Yeah,
to gather a bunch of people that are interested in like interesting way of thinking and have insights and like
yeah,
you can look at the like I'm not into basketball, but I can listen to Michael Jordan talk about basketball and be like, whoa, that's interesting how he thinks about things like that. You know,
yeah,
that's the ideal goal for me is to get a bunch of people who don't have anything in common. But like they can have something, but like mostly they are into different things, they're doing different things, but they all can gather in the middle and agree on like, you know, thinking logically is important and you know, like a few central principles, and then they
yeah.
can connect and then combine their knowledge and have different perspectives and things like that.
I think there, like, obviously, not obviously, but I think there can be connections through various disciplines. So I think, like, your thought there doesn't go far. Similarly to how, some people are like jujitsu is life, or like whatever they're interested in is life. Like, I think that you can draw analogies from your hobby or your work, and then um, like loan them in different disciplines, or loan them in different um, like lessons of life or lessons for work and things like that. So that doesn't go far.
Yeah, that's what I found too, is that through my experience of finding people who understand me or the people who I respect,
Mm.
you don't always fall into the same group. It's like one person might be in jujitsu, the other person might be in a university professor, and then the next person is a Tesla fanboy. The next person, it's they're all like kind of unrelated, but then at the same time, we think in the same. I don't know. We value the same things. Like
Yeah.
we all value unique perspectives, and we value logic and like get your emotions in check.
Yeah.
Don't value materialistic things and things like that.
I think that like that happens too. And then the people who go through that recognize that in their friend groups. Like their friend groups are like-minded. Most people, like as the saying goes, uh, the birds of the same feather flock together kind of thing in a way. And also I find that in my friend groups too, the people who I'm super close with and keep in touch with regularly on like a monthly or quarterly even basis, like we have the same lives almost, but in parallel ways. So a lot of the things or a lot of the events that we go through, we get to share, even though we're in different disciplines. So I think that is like that in life in general and other people who are like-minded.
Yeah,
So that's fair.
a lot of times you like maybe you're not the same as your friends, but after you made them your friends, over time they will bring you over to where they are.
Yeah.
So if you're always hanging out with a certain group of people, like over time you slowly become them. It's like
Mm-hmm.
periods being in sync,
Oh my
you
gosh.
know?
Yeah.
Whether yours is
Like,
earlier or yours is later, if you hang out with the same group all the time, you're gonna be in sync with them.
yeah, period as in the woman's menstrual cycle. I mean, that happens in the workplace too. Like, I don't know if other women go through the same thing,
Yeah,
but
I would hate to work on the days when all the ladies in
yeah.
the office having period all at the same time.
Yeah, like I had a team who was like all girls, and we would ask each other, we would like ask each other about like our experience, like are we cranky or irritable or whatever, and
Can you
very
smell it?
similar usually. What's that?
Can you smell it?
Ew.
No,
Why do you not like that? Like I understand what you mean, like
I've
in
heard.
not a disgusting way, but like in
I've
a yeah, like I get what you mean, but like no, not like that. No.
heard. I've heard people say like they not necessarily like smell like they know it, but then like they act different about like some type of pheromones gets released while
Yeah.
they have period, and then it makes people
Yeah.
around them like, act different or something.
Yeah, I learned that too. I don't know how
Bro science
scientific
though.
that is. Yeah, I don't like that's what I was gonna say. It's like I don't know how scientific that is,
Yeah.
but yeah, I kind of heard something similar to that. I can't remember if it was from a podcast or from an educational thing. But yeah, no, like in that sense, no, ew, like we don't smell, but maybe just our vibe is different. Yeah.
Okay. Um, maybe we'll talk about it a little further later on
Hmm.
when we reflect on the podcast. But the next thing I would like to talk about, like first we address the subscribers. Now I want to address everybody.
Okay.
Whoever comes across this video, whether you're a subscriber or not, I have one ask of you. Please learn about how money works. In the past few weeks, I've learned more about how like societal structure and like statistics about finance and like how people are doing and things like that. That shit makes me nervous. Even if it has nothing to do with me, that shit makes me nervous because of how bad it is. How
And Lee's not really nervous. Like this guy's face is poker face. Like he has no emotion. So the fact that he gets emotional about this is a lot.
yeah, that's just scary. Okay. It's like back then when when Tesla when I was following Tesla, we have a little Tesla fan group. Like that's the only small number of people who knew Tesla was going to be big. And then we were like, Tesla's going to be big and electric car is going to be the dominant vehicle. And all the legacy automakers are not going to be able to make electric cars, and they're going to go bankrupt. And so we had a saying that seeing how legacy automakers are going to go bankrupt is like watching a train wreck in slow motion. It's like, they're going to crash for sure, but then it's taking so long, it's like slow-mo.
Train wreck. Yeah.
Yeah, train wreck.
Train wreck.
Train wreck.
Yes.
In slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
But when train crashes, it's very disastrous. It's like really bad, but then it's happening slowly, so it's bad slowly, so you don't feel it as much. And that's how I felt when I learned about these societal structures, things. I was like, it sounds like inevitable, the whole shit is gonna collapse, but then it's collapsing in a slow motion, so people don't realize it and people are not doing anything about it. And
yeah, so the whole world is gonna collapse, basically, like financially.
Pretty much. Well,
yeah.
probably like more than financially, but what I learned is mostly financial.
Well, we're seeing that now. We're on the like brink of falling over almost. It's like we're creating all the momentum right now to fall really big, which is why I'm also tuned into this stuff. And another colleague of mine, like she was like, yeah, I've been learning about the Great Depression. And I was like, why? She's like, because I learned that like there's going to be a recession. If not, we're in it already. And she's like, that's why I'm trying not to spend. And I'm like, that's good. Like people our age, like our peers, are not thinking this way at all.
Well, what you're talking about is child's play compared to what I'm talking about.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's again, like this is normal people talk, like people who don't know much about like finance or about economics or whatever.
So what I've seen, I'm going to start
from the deeper than that, basically what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it like simple, but I'm going to start from the beginning. Okay, so at the youngest level, like kids, people worry about not having money, so they're already not having kids. So there's now many kids are being born. And then after that, when kids grow up, 40%, don't quote me on these numbers, but it's just the big picture, right? I don't remember the exact numbers, but then something along the lines of 40% of people never went to university. And so they get below average wage. And then there's 40% of people that go to university. They have above average income, but their income, I think it was like 50% of them or something, will never be able to cover their student loans.
That's so sad.
And then
this is all American data though, right?
I think so, but I don't think
that
the world, like for whole North America, it's probably not that much different. And for the other countries, it's probably way worse. And then after that, like you have kids now being born, and then when they grow up, they're screwed either way. They don't go to university, they won't make money. They go to university, it's so expensive. Even if they make money, it doesn't make up for it. And then the old people, I think they calculated if you retire at 60 years old, if you live because people used to live only until 70 years old. but people don't realize it's that people are living to on average to 80 now, but people are still saving money for retirement like they're only going to live till 70. So what's going to happen if all of a sudden one day all of the 70 years old realize they run out of money, but they have 10 more years to live, you know?
That's
And
so true.
yeah, they calculate, I think, to live from 60 years old to 80, you need on average $1 million or something like that. And then I think 85% of people who are 60-year old don't have $1 million in their bank account to support them to live till 80.
Well, that's why government workers go hard on their pension.
No, but that's another problem. See, that's what I'm saying. Like this whole structure, whole thing work together to, like, the whole shit's gonna fall over.
Yeah.
Pension thing is young people are working and they pay pension and they pay retirement fund and all of these. And then when they get old, they get money, right? So essentially what's happening is young people are paying for the old people today. So they're taking a cut from your paycheck and they're paying for the 80-year-old who got a pension 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And what will happen if there's, because like I mentioned before,
less kids, yeah,
there's not as many kids are being born. If there's kids get cut into half, there's only half of the money available for old people to, like, they invest in retirement funds and 401k and all these things, and by the time they retire, they thought they were secure, so they don't save money. They're like, oh, I have enough in my retirement fund. But by the time when they get old, the population shrink to half. They only get half of the money.
You're very American based, but it lends itself as well to like Canada. Not like Canada, I think, is in a little bit a better place in terms of like their financial or economic situation compared to the States, but it's like not far off. Yeah. Which I wonder why, like, oh, everyone's like, oh, but it's the government. They'll always have money to give you. Is that right though? Like, no, because we went through recession in 2008, 2007, and the Great Depression. And that encompasses not only us, but the government, essentially the government. So I don't know how we're paying into something and then we'll get it back later if we're all in it, if we're all in the collapse.
Yeah, and that's not even counting for the additional effects of having less children, which most people are not thinking about. They're thinking, oh, like if it's people shrink to half and then everything just get cut in half. That actually gets way worse than that. You know, it's like, imagine if there's enough Walmarts that support 100 people. All of a sudden it gets cut to half to 50 people. Walmart don't just make half the money. They might go bankrupt.
And actually, I wonder about this because in government, I'm finding that a lot of the positions aren't getting filled. And I'm not sure that's because people don't want a government job, because I've been told like, oh, people are not dying to work for government anymore. I think that's incorrect. I think there's a lot of people who do want to work for government, but the government doesn't have budget for them anymore, which is showing. It's like the domino effect of the government not having much in their reserve is showing now.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works, especially today. But what I'm talking about is like takes a long time to play out.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm speculating this. I'm just making inferences based on the knowledge I've been given in my workplace. But now that this is coming up, I think there's some correlation with that. So that's why I mention it.
Yeah, but this problem is what I'm talking about takes a long time to play out, but then at the same time, it takes a long time to fix. Like if you don't realize this problem 30 years before it happens, when it happens, it's going to take you another 30 years to fix it, or you might not never be able to fix it. It's already playing out in Japan and in China. Japan, I think this year or last year or something, they hit the biggest population of seniors. So like they have a upside down population where they have the, like, just for simple numbers, like they have 1 million old people and they only have like 500,000 young people. And also when I was watching a documentary, they were talking about not only the money aspect, but if you have a lot of old people and they have retirement fund saved, let's say it's all saved and secure, everybody has money. Even money wasn't a problem, but they are too old to create anything. And if you only have half of the young population, who's going to serve them, even if they have money? You can't just throw money at the problem. Like, you need people to address the problem. Like imagine there's 1 million seniors in the world and they all have $100 million. And they just say, oh, I want a, what's it called, senior home, right? Or I want one person to take care of me all day long. But there's only 500,000 young people. How are they going to take care of 1 million old seniors? Like, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So this whole structure of there's no new people being born, and even they're born, they're in a like bad spot. And also they feed into each other. After they be in a bad spot, they're in debt. Then they realize, they're like, oh shit, I can't afford to have kids. Then they don't have kids. And then they get old and they don't save for retirement fund either. This is the whole thing is. So whoever is listening, please learn about how money works. That's gonna help you, help everybody, help society. Because the government like is trying to help. Like, a lot of people say the system is rigged. I kind of thought that too before, but after learning about it, I realized really the system is rigged for you. They really try to help you, but it doesn't work. That's the problem.
Yeah, the system is so outdated. That's what I'm currently trying to understand as well, because I work for government. Like, I'm a public service employee. I help the public and all this stuff. But I'm also trying to learn the system, and like the way it works is so outdated that the people who work in there get so frustrated. And it's just sad because like public service employees are there to help the government, but the government's not helping public service employees the way they think they are. It's like so deceiving.
But not only that, even if the system is great, you cannot help people who don't know how to help themselves.
Yeah.
They don't know how it works. Like, a clear example is 2020, everything got shut down. So the government tried to help people. They print a bunch of money, give everybody checks. And then what happened? Everybody ended up having less money than did before anyways. So like, if people don't know how money works, by giving them more money, it doesn't help because they're going to run out either way. There is a different number I saw, which adds to the troubling stats. This is stats of today. Before pandemic, people's savings were 8%. And then after today, it's dropped to 4%. And I think the last 2 months, people's credit, like the debt on their credit card, has shot up in record levels. So people are spending more, saving less, and borrowing more money.
Yeah.
And this is after government printed a bunch of checks and gave it to everybody, and they ended up being poorer than they were before. So if people don't know how this works, it doesn't matter how great the system works or how much they try to help. It's not gonna end up like being like, they can help them to get money, but they cannot help them to retain money. The money will
Yeah.
always flow to someone else's hands.
Yeah. So like this day and age or this point in time, it isn't the best to be spending lump sums of money on things, on material things, events, or even travel. Like, I'm gonna sound so hypocritical about this, but like it's true, right? Like we shouldn't be spending right now.
Well, it depends on what you're spending. There are a lot of things I think people shouldn't be spending on, regardless of the times, good times or bad times.
That's true. And one
That
of them for me is coffee. I've been watching a lot of Graham
one of
Stephan
them for me is
or
coffee.
Stephan Graham. I think it's Graham Stephan.
Yeah.
I always get his first and last name mixed up because to me they're both first names.
Ling Ling.
Yeah, something like that. But also for those actually who is tuning in and like trying to understand, like you can start with that, watching Graham Stephan's like
We just direct people to all types of different channels.
no, I think that is like good insight though. Like people don't get to see it in real time. We just consume different things.
Yeah. And also, I think like there's a great power in where you put your money. Not just you getting rich yourself, but there's a voting aspect to money. That if you keep spending money on, let's say, I don't know, like Walmart, then there will be more Walmarts around you. If you spend it more on coffee, Starbucks, there will be more Starbucks around you.
That's a good point, actually. I never thought of that.
You know, it's each dollar when you spend it, each dollar is like a vote. $1 is one vote. You're voting for this thing to exist more. So if you buying private jets and buying Bentleys and buying, I don't know, Perkin bags, is it a thing?
Birkin?
Birkin, okay.
Birkin? Ah, fuck, I don't know.
I don't know. This is
I just when I said Birkin, that reminded me of Birkenstocks, which is like sandals. I don't think that's right.
Yeah,
I don't know too much about handbags.
Yeah, but when
I
people
know about handbags, but not like that.
Yeah, when people buy unreasonable things and they don't care about balancing the value and they're like, oh, this thing is better than the other thing, and like they don't try to calculate and try to do all of that, then you are just supporting people to create more things that don't have as much value. That is one of the main reasons why recession or depression, as you call it, whatever you call it, is a good thing. Because when shit get tough, the things that don't have as much value get like, what's the word?
Reduced.
Like flushed out.
Yeah.
Like people buy random things that don't do much. Like buy Pokemon cards, let's say. And now their money is tight. They're not gonna buy Pokemon cards. How's that gonna help?
People buy rearranged food.
What the hell is that? Rearrange?
People buy things that they can buy separately, but they buy it in a pack because it's rearranged.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about that. But I did try my first ever Impossible Burger this weekend.
Oh my.
But anyway,
that experience.
It actually tastes pretty much like meat, except it's sweeter. I think
Depends on what's in there.
I think there's some type of vegetable they use to make the patty is sweet, and they couldn't get rid of sweetness or something.
No, maybe that's tempeh.
I don't know what that was. I ordered a Impossible Burger at the bar, so I don't know if that's the same patty that all Impossible Burger places get or not.
No, some are different. It depends on what their make is. Like some are tofu, some are more chickpea. Like, yeah.
I don't know how that works, but it's interesting. But I think that's a losing, but anyways, that's a
Well, no, it depends because if you're vegan
Mhm.
or if you're vegetarian or whatever, like I don't think it's a losing market. I think it's very niche.
Yeah, the problem with that is
Like not enough to hold it up.
not many people are eating vegetarian because of health reasons. Most people are eating vegetarian because of the love for animals.
It's going more towards that way. You're right, but like I don't think necessarily.
But not many people are saying, "Oh, it's better for me to eat vegetable only eat vegetables." That's not like some people are advocating for that, but I don't think that's many people, and that's not scientific to me, at least from what I understand. Because
Mhm.
even the most like sophisticated vegetarian people, they say I take all type of supplements to make
Yeah,
up for the things that are missing.
yeah.
They acknowledge that vegetables don't always. It's like even if they do, they're like very inconvenient to get.
Hmm.
So so I think a better way instead of using vegetable to make burgers, I mean make beef. A better way is to engineer beef that have the same nutrition as beef, except it doesn't need to kill a cow to get it. You just engineer it somehow in the lab. I think that's a way better, thing that address the problem directly than using vegetables. Because you
Yeah,
always
that would be
get to,
cool.
so whatever you use bean sprouts, people are gonna be like, oh, bean sprouts are actually now healthier than beef. Like you're consuming bean sprouts. You think it's healthier, but actually it's less. It's always gonna be argument like that. You're not gonna be able to convince the masses to eat like vegetables,
Yeah,
like only vegetables. Whereas if you engineer beef and you say this is the same as beef, same nutrition and everything, it just except you're not contributing to animal suffering, then that becomes like an invincible argument. It's like difficult to argue against that.
kind of similar idea to Friedberg's canna engineering
You gotta
the
can
flavors there. I see what you did there.
go back to episode 8. No, I don't know if it's episode, but yeah, that's the similar idea to drinks, right? Like he engineered the drinks. But if he said, "Oh, I made all the drinks from soy," then I think that would be way harder to sell because
Oh
people
yeah,
not like not everybody's gonna agree on that soy is good for you. So it doesn't matter if it tastes different. People are not gonna consume
yeah.
it.
Everyone got something to say about everything these days, so it doesn't matter even anymore.
Yeah. So so I think a better idea. This is a side point. It has nothing to do with anything, but I think a better idea is making a replacement meat rather than a substitute with the vegetables or
Yeah.
some type of plants. And
Well, when we get to that point, I'd be interested to try it as well. Because if I literally can't tell the difference between
have you
real
tried
beef
any
and a
Impossible or
burger,
whatever?
yeah, I have.
Like, is there chicken or just
What do you
beef?
mean?
Like, is it Impossible chicken burger?
No, I haven't. I
Oh,
haven't come
okay.
across
Well, what
that.
do you think about their Impossible beef burger?
Well, it depends on the place. Some places like make
This
it.
is getting all intricate on our subscribers. What the
It's
fuck?
true though, because then some places, that's why it's like I wonder. It depends on how the Impossible Burger
You
is.
gotta you gotta go to a crowded location in downtown because the traffic is more, so they run through the inventory faster and the ingredients more fresh. you know,
That was my theory for the longest time in some restaurants. Is like this is like not as good because the turnover isn't enough, so it's not as fresh.
yes,
But
that's my
anyways,
mom's
no,
theory. When we try to go to a restaurant, I'll be like, let's try this restaurant. My mom's like, there's not many people in here. Their ingredients are probably not fresh.
yeah, it's probably stale by then.
What the
That's
hell?
my same logic too. But no, I think it just depends. Like there are some places who have a grainier Impossible Burger, and then it's more similar to beef, like ground beef. But there's some places who have an Impossible Burger or a garden burger because it's like vegan and or like vegetarian that make it. I don't know if it's chickpea or like what is in there, but it's mushier and it doesn't it just is like not the same as ground beef. You know what I mean? Like if you eat ground beef or if you eat like a real burger, you get that grainy like part of it. Yeah,
It's,
there's none of that.
it's completely go off topic. You
I'm
know,
just saying there's a difference. I can tell that there's a difference.
also over time, I've realized back in the day, you hear people have like meetings, they wear a suit, and then you're like, oh shit, like they're working on a project. Actually, a lot of these meetings and projects sound like our conversation on Zoom. They go off the rails to go somewhere else and start talking about random things for most of the
Yeah,
meeting.
pretty much. That's why there are some executives who hate meetings and don't even want to deal with it because half of like we talked about this before in one of the podcasts, I think, like or whatever ratio or percentage in the beginning is small talk. And then in the middle is like, okay, let's talk about work so we can say talked about work. And then in the end, it's continue the small talk. It's like shit that you don't even want to know or care about someone's personal life. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Elon Musk just sent an email like a couple of weeks ago to all his employees saying, all of you have to come back to the office for work. There's no, there's like no company that has created a great product over Zoom.
Mm,
So if you don't come to the office, then I would just assume you resigned.
mm.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so let's
Part of me wants to work for Elon Musk because, like, a lot of what he says, I agree with. For example, acronyms. He doesn't like acronyms. And in
what
my
do I
workplace,
say?
we using acronyms for no reason.
You're bringing the oldest Elon Musk examples.
Because it's so true.
This
Like
is
he's
from
not
like
wrong.
this is from like 15 years ago or something. He said this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. He set the basis. I think that's like part of like in a workplace, if you're not a startup, but you're working like a startup, like you're silly. What are you doing? I just think that's so silly.
What do you mean?
Like there are some organizations or companies or workplaces that have been established, like let's say however many years, let's say over 50 years, but they still don't have basic procedures in place. It's like, how do you do your job if you don't have procedures? And you just every turnover, you've got to relearn everything. Like silly,
Oh,
unproductive, inefficient.
okay, let's
Need a
revert
new
back to
leader.
our topic. Let's talk about because after all of that,
Yeah.
one one thing I ask of everybody is to learn about money, but another solution. But even if everybody learn about money, it doesn't
Yeah.
solve the problem completely. Another thing people have to do is have more kids.
Oh my.
So let's talk about having kids. Okay.
Well, my grandpa did a great job. He had 11,
Yeah, but
but that's like a while ago already,
he's
long time.
but his generation never had a problem having kids. My grandpa on my father's side had like three. My grandparents from my mother's side had five. So
Oh.
their generation always had enough kids,
Mhm.
but then it's getting lower and lower. And
Yeah, and some people overall not having kids.
our generation, I'm concerned. Like before, I wasn't so much as concerned. People are talking about it, but I was like people are still having kids, you know, like because
Yeah.
it's still. I come from China, and in my generation, especially like when I was younger, having kids is so like ingrained in everybody. It's like the biggest happiness comes from having grandchildren and like all of these things. So I still think that's how people think, but people don't think that anymore.
Is China the most populated country
Uh,
or is it India?
I'm not sure, but they're top three for sure.
Yeah,
But the
for
crazy,
sure, right?
but
Who
the
knew Chinese people were making babies? Like it's such a taboo thing to talk about making babies, yet
Yeah,
Asian people make the most babies.
but that's gonna make it like way worse because they had the most people. Now they're gonna drop, like have the sharpest drop in population.
Mhm.
Like what's gonna happen? Like other things,
Well, that's why China took away the one child policy, right?
yeah, but it's not doing much. Like
Mm.
you know this, like from talking to other people, it doesn't like Canada's always
Oh
been.
man, yeah. 3 out of 10 of my friends who are girls do not want kids. Absolutely not. Or not even my friends, like people I just know. 3 out of 10 have already said, I want to tie my tubes.
Yeah, not only
Under 30, by the way,
like
because apparently you can't tie tubes if you're under 30.
in Canada, not only do they allow it, they encourage it. They give you incentives to have kids. Even then, people are not having kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, but like I said,
It's
like
also the lifestyle. Now people care about the lifestyle more than they care about having kids.
yeah, we'll address that real quick. But let me get my shit off.
Sure.
but yeah, but like I wasn't as concerned. I was hearing about it, and then I started hearing my friends saying they didn't want to have kids.
You have one friend.
A couple, you know. But
I'm kidding. I just
comment down
posted.
below. Do you want to have kids? But anyways, um, and but I always thought I'm a weird guy. My friends are all weird, so we probably don't represent the norm. But then
Mhm.
I started talking to strangers and started getting to know your friends, and then I realized, holy shit, like everybody is like leaning toward not having kids.
Yeah.
This is actually a big problem.
Yeah.
And then what makes it way worse is that a couple is two people and you have to have two kids to make up for the two couple.
I understand.
I
Yeah.
mean the couple. So you have to have two kids grow up to make up the two parents that die. And even then, you're not growing the population at all. You're just like having the same number of
Maintaining it.
people.
Yeah.
And imagine one actual couple that decide to not have kids, the first couple that are having kids, if they want to make up for them, they have to have four kids. Not like they have to have one and to make up for another couple, they have two. No, it's like 2 to 4 to
Yeah.
6 to 8. And the people who are deciding to have kids, they're only having one and two. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody is having like 6, 8 kids nowadays. Like that be not happening.
Yeah.
So
Too
the
expensive to have kids.
huh?
Too expensive to have kids.
Well, that's a misconception, but we'll talk about that later. Let me get my shit out. Yeah. I was talking to someone who had a kid a couple of weeks ago, and she said, I before I had kids, I wanted 3 kids, but after one kid, I realized so much work. I only want to have one now. So it's
Mhm.
like, is this people who want to have many are having few, and people who are having wanted to have few are having none. And like the the drop in population is going to be so sharp and so quick, and it's going to be such a big problem. I don't even know how I can convey this scary effect if there's not enough people.
We're
But
gonna have to start showing graphs so people can visually see what you're trying to convey.
uh, a selfish side of me says, fuck it, I voiced it on the pod. I put it out there. If people don't do anything about it, it's not my fault. I did my best.
Sorry, I
Also,
did my best.
may I add, I'm trying to have kids to contribute my share too. So
Whoa.
not my fault, okay? If this shit collapse. But anyway, so let's address what you're saying, which is the reason why people are not having kids, which I think 90% is misconceptions. People are not having kids because they say, oh, the environment is so horrible. How can I bring kids to this horrible environment?
Oh my, yes, I've been hearing a lot of that.
And there are people who say, oh, I cannot afford having kids. And then there are people who say, oh, have kids, then I can't do anything anymore after having kids. There's so many of these things, but then none of them is true. Because like if people who say it's a horrible environment, Elon Musk said, have you read history? We are at the best times in human history. Like back in the day, there's a war, there's rape, there's people come to your villages, take away your daughters. There's all types of crazy shit happening. People are having kids. And you think now it's like the worst time ever? And then people who say they can't afford it. Statistically speaking, in the whole world, the areas that have the most kids are the most impoverished areas. The most rich areas, the most educated people are having the least kids. So that's not, that's not the reason. Like people in Africa are having like 12 kids, and people in Canada, middle class or upper class, are having like 0 to 1. How can you justify that by saying I can't afford kids while African people are raising 12 kids?
Well, maybe because those middle upper classes just don't have time, let alone don't have to make kids. Maybe people in Africa just have the whole day to be making kids.
You think people don't have time to make kids?
Yeah, maybe.
This all them times they spend at the club, they don't have time to make kids. Really? That's all them times they spend on trading Bitcoin, they don't have time to make kids.
Oh man.
Taking shots at Bitcoin.
But yeah, I know. I'm like, oh man, you'll get canceled.
Yeah, people. I don't know if you saw. There's a short clip I posted talking shit about Bitcoin, and somebody commented, "It's so painful to hear," or something like that.
You?
Yeah, like our podcast.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah, that's actually maybe it's transition to our next topic, which is reflecting on our podcast.
Sure.
That actually made me realize something about doing a podcast that's interesting. I didn't think much about it before. I was thinking of our podcast as like a conversation, but then that person said I was so painful to hear this.
Yeah.
Like made me want to address it, but at the same time, I don't know what he means. Mm-hmm. But then I cannot ask follow-up questions. Then I look like the crazy person arguing with the person in the comment section. Yeah.
I like the comment section. I like it when people start a conversation. Now I understand why YouTubers like comment down below.
Well, they try to get engagement, so the algorithm pushes them, which I also know.
Yeah. Is that?
Which now I also know why they're so big on algorithm pushing them, because it really makes a big difference.
Yeah, but also like yeah, sure, I care about engagement stuff, but I care about more of the genuine conversations that go on under any YouTube video. Like I see YouTube video, I immediately go down to the comment section and I'm like, huh, what are people saying? And then some people have a whole thread of things that they're saying. And if it's not a hater thread too, that's even better. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, because I've always like tailor my message to my audience since I was a kid. You know how like you tell a joke certain way and they laugh, and then you tell to somebody else they don't laugh.
Yeah.
And then you like adjust. You're like, oh shit, like this part made them not like they don't relate to this part, so you like tweak it a little bit. So that's kind of how I have conversation with people. I kind of like ask them, oh, what are your interests? What do you do? And then when I make analogies or make a joke or whatever, I try to like relate. If they say, I love basketball. Then when I make an analogy, I try to make a basketball analogy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but now making videos, we are talking to a like a broad, like we don't know who's gonna come across these videos, and I don't know anything about them. And then I'm like trying to think what they want to know beforehand and tell them and make an analogy thinking they would understand, that help them understand and they can relate. But then that's not necessarily the case. And I realized too that I'm like deficient in this area. When I watch back my videos, I'm like, oh, sometimes I'm explain something, it's not very clear, and then try to make analogy to help people to understand, and then the analogies makes it less clear. Unless
Mm-hmm.
unless you know what I know and you have the similar interests as me. Otherwise, they wouldn't like the analogy makes it even more confusing.
Yeah, I think that's why I like to refer to the people that we actually originally listened to, because then when other people start listening to that too and then come back and listen to our stuff, they'll understand what we're saying more. And it's just more relatable, I feel like.
Yeah, so yeah, because of that, I was like, do I really like this? I really value being able to ask people specific questions, understand them more, like listening and tailor a message to their needs. So then I'm like, is YouTube really the platform for me? I thought about quitting YouTube a few times.
Hmm.
The past couple of weeks has been like the strongest. And that's one of the main reasons. And yeah, and another reason is I feel like what I'm doing is not making a difference.
Hmm.
Like even if I get subscribers or views, I feel like people are watching YouTube. You know how we watch YouTube? how we how we watch YouTube is like, there's 5 minutes dead space, when you're waiting for the bus, or 10 minutes dead space when you're taking a shit. When when you're folding clothes, you just put YouTube on, you just want to
That's true.
like noise in the background. I feel like people are probably listening to our video kind of like that. And even though it looks like their views, but then it actually doesn't register in their head anyway. Like it doesn't change their behavior, is what I'm saying. Like, sure, I'm we might entertain them for a little bit, and in return, they might give us views and even money in the future. But how many people are actually changing? How many people are actually doing better because they heard us?
Mm-hmm.
There's a stat I heard on All In Summit where a lady talked about healthcare, and she said healthcare are getting better and better, but people's life span are getting shorter and shorter. So like back then, people were like living to 85 or something, but now it's 80, even though healthcare gets better. It's because she's speculating that people are doing all types of unhealthy things. They don't listen to the doctor and thinking they have something to fall back on. They're like, if I'm dying, I'm kind of always go to the doctor anyway. And in that scenario, it's difficult to judge. Are the doctors doing good? Are the doctors actually making a difference? So a lot of people, if they were the doctor, they would be like feel good. They're like, oh, I'm saving lives. Whereas me, I like to look at the big picture and then the end result, the outcome. Like if I was a doctor, I wouldn't feel fulfilled if I was trying to make a difference. But if I was trying to make money, then I wouldn't care, But I'll sell OxyContin if I have to, But
No. We're watching a show right now called Dope Sick, and that's where that comment of Oxycontin came from. Oxycontin is an opioid.
Yeah, well, that's one of the example. Like for example, if people are in pain, you sell them painkillers. It doesn't cure them, but then do you feel like you're doing good? A lot of people do because they feel like they're reducing pain. But whereas for me, if I'm not curing them, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. But But if I'm trying to make money, then I would love to sell people painkillers because it's returning customer. Where so where I draw the connection is for YouTube, I'm not trying to make money. I'm trying to make a difference. So I don't care about returning customers. If I'm feeling like I'm not making a difference, it's very demotivating for me. Yeah. What are you smiling about over there? What the fuck? But
So that means you can respond back with how I changed my life because Lee said I wouldn't, so I proved him wrong.
yeah, write me a personal email, but with a check attached to it that represent how much change you have made on your life.
What the heck?
Nah,
For the
man.
one who says I'm not here to make money.
I'm here to receive money. I'm not here to make money.
You don't print it, you receive it.
Yeah. We're a charity over here. We're not trying to make money, but we accept donations.
What the heck?
But anyways, but what's gonna keep me going, at least for now, because my thinking is always changing, is that I think the ultimate good might come from, instead of coming from YouTube videos that's going to change people's life, which might not happen. The ultimate good might come from creating the community. So using YouTube as like a advertising platform that reach the most people as possible, and but then gather together the selective few that want to be in the same community, and just like PayPal Mafia, and then they create value that way as a small group. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, PayPal Mafia is, I think it was either 8 or 11 people. That's yeah, that started PayPal. And there was this crazy stat. Again, don't quote me on the numbers, but it's a big picture, okay? Big picture, I think it was around 40% of all unicorn businesses were directly or indirectly related to PayPal Mafia people. Just like 11 people, they're responsible for 40% of the unicorns in Silicon Valley.
See, stuff like that is so cool to me. Like, how do they do that? I just want to know. I want to be like that,
Yeah, I want to create a community similar in that way. Although it probably wouldn't be, as powerful, but it will be more people.
Yeah.
So it will end up maybe having a similar effect. The new normal mafia. I'm the godfather.
Oh my gosh.
You know who you are? You're the lady godfather.
So this is also based on another joke. The context is, what is it? Someone said Chinaman. Why do you say Chinaman? Because it's already a man from China. And then they say, so what do you call a woman from China? And they're like, Lady Chinaman.
You're simultaneously a lady Chinaman and the lady godfather.
Anyways, those are probably jokes that we only understand, but if you guys find them funny too, then that's cool.
Yeah, we gotta entertain ourselves first.
Yes.
Because comedians are actually the most depressed people. But anyways, that's a side point.
You can't tell me that because Andrew Schultz looks like he's having fun all the time.
Yeah, actually what's the coolest thing about Andrew Schultz is that he built a team that's dope,
Yeah.
It's diverse too. I want a team like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about you talk about what you think about the podcast so far and think. Oh, by the way, I thought before, like when I first started doing the podcast, I thought we were gonna reflect on it after a year. But since it's been so difficult, 6 months felt like 3 years. So we're gonna reflect on it after 6 months.
I do. It does feel like a year of doing this, but also not.
By the way, guys, this is so hard. Like you guys better have some respect for content creators. it feels like, oh, they're just talking, it's easy, I can do it. No, you cannot. Okay, try. Don't believe me, try that shit.
Just try posting like 5-minute video and uploading it and trying to cut it.
Yeah, and there's so much, behind the curtains, things that happen, we're not gonna talk about. But like I also thought about that too, is like, should we post negative things like when we're not getting along and disagreeing and things like that? But then I was like actually, like, what's the point of spreading negativity?
Yeah.
So it's like, so now I kind of understand when content creators only show good times. So like, in a way, I'm kind of against them, like be more real. But at the same time, why do you want to specifically post negative things? Sure, you have it, but do you want people to see it? Like, do you want to affect people? But anyways, I don't know. So yeah.
Actually, since we're on that, I do have to give credit where it's due. And that's why Lee says it's so difficult, because he's mainly the one, like you're mainly the one doing everything, like coming up with the topics, editing the videos, putting up the clips, putting this timestamps. Like you actually spend a lot of your time doing this, probably like 3 to 4, even 5 hours, depending on the video and how difficult the topics are and like what we talk about at each time. Like Lee stays up until even 6 a.m., even just before he's supposed to post, just so that he can get timestamps on there. And we record the night before we post, which is even more difficult, because not only do we talk about what we're already talking about, but then he replays it over and over again when we just talked about something, so he can get all the timestamps. So praise and kudos and everything to you, Lee.
We're not gonna do all that. It's, compared to most, hardworking content creators, what I'm doing is nothing. Like,
I know.
But really give me a glimpse into what they had to do, and that's what gained a lot of respect from me.
Yeah, like that's just it, is that you don't even scratch the surface of editing, but the fact that you do it and it's that time consuming, I can only imagine what content creators do with all the edits that they do, all the angles. Anyways, I even been trying to post up my first YouTube video. I can't even do it because there's so many things that go into it. And I'm like, oh damn, this is not good enough. But if I ever do, and I really do want to, then you'll hear about it.
Sure.
Anyways.
Sure, it looks easy, don't it?
Yeah, like these guys, the content creators really do make it look easy, which is why when people get jealous of how much they make, like over 6 figures, even, then
they're content creators. They're like, oh, I'm having burnout, I'm gonna take a break. And people are like, oh, what, are you tired of getting paid to travel around the world and eat good food and all of these things? Yeah, they do get tired. It's like, it's pretty draining, because we try to post like mukbang eating videos too in the beginning, because I was thinking, how hard can this be? We're eating anyway. It's like, you're not doing anything different. But actually thinking how you can eat and what you're gonna say, like how can it be entertaining for people, how can you switch it up, it's like, it's not easy.
Oh my gosh.
That's why we stopped posting those videos, because we can't come up with more different things to eat anymore.
Not just that, if you look super closely in the last one we posted, you can tell I was pissed off. I was sitting in the back of the car. I was like, that's it, I'm done. Because Lee had a different vision and like wanted to do things a different way. And I'm just like, that's not gonna work. And I didn't want to listen. So, anyways, that's besides the point. What I think of the podcast so far. Yeah, I mean, I can agree. There's certain points where I'm just frustrated. I like when it's my turn to come up with a topic or try to talk about something in a more structured way. I feel like it's difficult for me to do that, and I always need your assistance on that. But did I ever want to quit? Yes and no. Like I know what we're doing here is pretty unique to us, especially with our dynamic. So that's why I feel like, yeah, we do have something special. And then lately, when we're getting views that we normally don't see, I think that's like, why are you laughing?
Need validation from the views. You say,
No, I think
yo,
it's because I'm cool and I
I,
bring good dynamics to the team.
I don't think we're doing it right. We won't get 8 views. All of a sudden, the same video gets 60 views. So you're like, oh, actually, I think we do something right.
Yeah, because we're just like shooting the shit most of the time. Actually, sometimes there's sometimes when we don't and we're like super serious. But like lately, I think we are getting to the point where we're just more comfortable with talking. And then especially me, like I'm not scared to say something. I'm just gonna say it. Because if it's out there, I'm like, well, if you meet me in person, I'm probably gonna say the same thing too. So like what does it matter? Like this is me. And maybe it's just my personal growth too that's allowing me to do that. But I just think having this and having like other people watch, even people that we know, even who come across it and like, oh, I really like this episode because of this. I'm like, I think that's so cool, even if it's just one person. But now that it's like more than one person, that's even cooler. So thank you for the support. I do want to keep going and just see where this takes us. You never know. May the YouTube algorithm be in our favor.
Yeah, it's like how being interesting is not that difficult, but being interesting consistently week after week after week is what drains people. That's how they get burnouts. It's like
Yeah.
it's really difficult. But is there anything that really surprised you about doing the podcast? Like something you thought a certain way, and then you really realize that's not the way it is. Something
Um,
catch you off guard or whatever. How your view on podcasts or YouTube has changed.
yeah, no, I think there's a myriad of things because I have been watching more content creators too. So that's why I'm like, excuse me, I think that's why more it's like I understand the flow of it now. Whereas before, I thought that, oh, yeah, this is so easy. We're just talking back and forth. But there's so much more that goes behind that. And I think part of it too is because I want to, as much as I just want to talk and shoot the shit too, I'm more aware that, yes, we have an audience or we're trying to grow an audience. And I want my audience to come back because I'm providing value, not because I'm consistently shooting the shit. Because yes, you're right. Like there's only so much shooting the shit that people will watch, but there's a certain point where like my audience grows with me and I'm also growing. And if I want to watch someone, I want to watch them because I will learn something at the end of the day. So I want a little bit of both, and finding that balance between like keeping fun and providing value is a little bit more difficult than I thought. I thought that it's just like, oh, I'm just going to say that this way. Like, no, like I even won't listen to myself if I said it in that way. And I'm trying to find that in between, like, oh, this person is cool and she's being herself, but she's also providing insight that I probably won't find in someone else who's doing the same thing as her or as them,
Yeah,
like us.
yeah. It's I I find it surprising too how difficult it is to balance being authentic and being performative. It's like
Yeah.
I before I was like, I have no problem being authentic. I'm authentic all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care about being judged, so I'm just gonna be authentic on the podcast.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, if you have so much negative energy, or you're so boring at this time, like in authentically, we could stay silent for 10 minutes and then talk one sentence, but
Yeah.
on a podcast, is that really what you want to do? Like that's really weird.
Yeah, that's another thing is like keeping the conversation going because that's true. Like in real life, you I give you time to think, and sometimes that's like 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you're really pondering about what you're going to say. But here I feel like, okay, I really have to think on my feet and get, at the same time listening to you, remember what I'm going to say next. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because like in real life, I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh, hold on, like I just lost my thought. And then I'm like trying to think. But now I'm like, okay, right after you say this, I'm gonna say this and like keep the flow going.
You're just holding what you're gonna say in your head while waiting for me to stop. You're just waiting your turn.
Yeah, like in real life, I could like say something, do something, so you'll like shut up real quick. But then in a podcast, I can be like, listen, okay, and like we can't be arguing like that. It has to, and also like I still talk over you sometimes, but in real life, I talk over you probably a little bit more. But we still get across what we want to say.
Also, in real life, we gave a lot of examples and analogy about personal lives, like
Yeah,
private,
that's true.
our lives and our friends and whoever. But on the podcast, we
Mhm.
can't do that, and then we have to think of new things, and we don't know what relates to the audience. Like we
Yeah.
don't know them. Like that's the thing that surprised me too. Because I did sales and I talked to a bunch of strangers, so I thought it's like probably similar. But then what I realized is like what made it like what's it called? Like was what's fascinating about sales and what my strength is in listening. It's like meeting a stranger. It's like, oh, what's your need? And okay, what's the issue? What's the I listen, register all the information, and then I don't have to talk much. Whereas on a podcast, you can't ask the audience question. You just have to keep on talking, and
Yeah.
like guessing like address their questions before they even ask, and it's not even the same type of audience. There's all types of random people from all different parts of the world that's gonna like watch this. Because
Yeah.
I don't know about now because I don't check very much, but before with other videos, like for example our dog videos, there are people from like the Middle East watching. There are people and on the what's it called, the podcast platform, it has like Australians and like like they're not going to relate to the same thing we're saying, even when we are talking about making examples, analogies about North America. We thought, oh, that's broad enough, that's so broad, like everybody can relate.
Yeah.
But they like not everybody. Also, there's another weird thing too, is that like real late after midnight, like 2-3 a.m. our time, we get views. And I don't know if it's like late night people watch us, or is it because time difference, people from all the way at the other side of the world are watching.
That's
Then
true.
that adds a different dynamic to it too. It's like, can you imagine if like one day we find out that nobody knows us in North America, but we're real popular in Egypt or something?
That's cool. See,
That would
that's
be
why I like the
crazy.
comments to go off, because then, oh, like people figure out, oh, you're not even from here, like, and you're tuning into like people who are talking about North America. Like, why? Like, I just want to know, like, what part of it, like,
There's a guy called Farzad something. He's a former Tesla employee. He's now doing YouTube.
oh, yeah, okay.
And he does live streams. And then in the beginning of his live streams, he says, "Come on in, come on in. Everything's fine," because in the past few weeks the stock market has been crashing hard. He's like, "Come on in, come on in. It's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine." And then tell me where you're from. And then he reads because it's live stream, he reads
Yeah,
the chat. He said, "Oh, welcome, like so and so from Tennessee, so and so from China, so and so from Australia,
yeah,
Sydney." It's just like to read all the people from different
yeah.
cities around the different world. It's so cool. But anyway,
That's so cool.
So that's
Makes
what
me want to travel. But anyways,
like Rome. People from Rome.
I do want to go to Rome.
France.
France, Paris.
Yeah. Spain.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, the guy Farzah, I think he was either was born in Spain or grew up in Spain. He speaks Spanish.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I think I want my kids to learn Spanish.
¿Hasta español?
What?
I don't
It's
know.
habla español.
I don't know. Okay. You
Yeah,
know what's the hardest language in the world to learn?
Mandarin.
Mandarin. Okay. So I speak that shit. Don't talk shit. Come at me, bro.
Okay, four tones.
No, I'm joking. I actually don't. I don't think Mandarin is the hardest language to learn.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, but
And I said Mandarin.
yeah, but it sounded good for a second, you know.
Probably like German.
I don't know because I know. There's a language in Mongolia. That shit hard as fuck. That shit looks like the shit that's you engrave on the cliff.
Oh man.
You know what I'm talking about?
I can't even hieroglyphics.
Yeah, shit like that. It's like all like looks like people and twisted together. It's all crazy shit.
That's beyond me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think about YouTube, like our podcast so far, in my experience. But I want to focus more of a like what I look forward to in another episode.
Yeah, no, that was it.
Yeah, because I really do look forward to creating more like podcast episodes and
you know what's funny?
Yeah.
Is that maybe we're really meant to do this because every time we're like, oh, we don't have anything to say. I just say, and we go overtime every time.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Every time it's like, oh, maybe you have 20 minutes to say, like, if we drag it out, it'll be 30. And then we got to try to stop ourselves at an hour and 30 minutes.
Because I don't know, like when you get going, we actually do talk a lot. Like, and I think that's why I'm like, even though we're a couple, it's so weird because like we see each other, well, not every day, but like every week.
And it's gonna be less and less from now on too.
Why?
I don't know. That's what you told me. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah, but that's like different.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm busy now. I'm a soup.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. I'm just messing around.
And you're gonna open your YouTube channel.
I just want to do a lot of shit, but then I haven't done it yet. That's the problem. So that's why I'm trying to get it done. That's why I'm seeing you less. Priorities, woman.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You'll just see at the end of the week. It depends on what I report back to you. Okay. Anyways, got anything else to say? To wrap this up?
I don't know. Do you have anything you want to talk about real quick? I have like, I don't know. There's a bunch of small things that don't matter much. So we'll probably maybe talk about it in another episode.
Yeah.
Or anything you want to get it out there this episode real quick.
That's pretty much it.
All right then.
Yeah. So anyways, having said all that, don't be normal, be yourself. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.